Monday, I don't like Mondays, just another manic Monday. Did I mention it's Monday? You've tuned into New Job Who Dis? Get those sleepies out of your eyes, drink that third cup of coffee, stretch, get your life. It is Monday, July 27th. I am Halston Body, and you are here for episode number 7 of New Job Who Dis, a long-winded tale through the history books of my jobs, my careers, the places that I have been to get me to where I am today as Halston Body, Prism of Excellence Wrestling Manager to the Stars. Oh, I could go on for days about my accolades, but we're not here to talk about those just yet. We're here to talk about where I've been and where I'm headed to. Thank you for tuning in, by the way. If you are here on YouTube, thank you for subscribing. Please comment, please like, please share, please tell everybody you know we are here on YouTube. You can look at this gorgeous face. But if you are not watching on YouTube, thank you for listening. Podbean, the Podbean Network, and Podbean.com hosts New Job Who Dis. You can find it on Spotify and, of course, Apple Podcasts. Thank you for tuning in. We are in for... surprise, a 2-parter. What? We were going so good, Halston. Why would you need to split up this episode? Well, my dears. If I had hair, I would flip it. Let me tell you that this next job path was and still is one of my top 3 favorite jobs I've ever had in my entire existence on this earth. 47 years, there has almost been no better job and no better experience that I had working my next job. Where we left off, if you did not listen to last Friday's, how dare you? But if you didn't, I will fill you in because I'm that nice of a person. I was working for this sort of retail job in the mall, Mayfair Mall in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin. Very Caucasian, very uppity, not as uppity as Brookfield or Whitefish Bay. However, Mayfair Mall had its moments. It was suburbia. It was just suburbia mall, and it was a little bit more polished than some of the others, but it was a very nice mall. And I worked there at a place called Merle Harmon's Fanfare. I was just starting college after dashing my own hopes and dreams of becoming a pro wrestler at the young age of 17. My parents would not allow me to just go run off to the circus and join a pro wrestling school that I really didn't have any idea what it was anyway. I just wanted to go to school. I just wanted pro wrestling. I love pro wrestling. And they said, no, you are going to go to college. And I agreed. Go back to Friday's episode. Make sure you tune in on that. You will get the why to the what as to why I went to college instead of chasing my pro wrestling dreams at 17. But let's move forward. We're in college now. We're just getting our feet wet in adulthood. We're nearing 18 years old. It's looking good. I'm working this job, I guess. I'm starting college and kind of just getting through the electives and the things I'm supposed to do to get through college. But I had no direction, none whatsoever, just sort of being there and just doing a job and going to college. And yeah, why am I in college? I don't know. I'm just there because my parents told me to, and they said it looks good on a resume. So I'm in college. When I get into college, I join a fraternity because I joined a group first called Focus, and that was more of an orientation group. And then I joined a fraternity because I wanted friends. I wanted to have friends on colleges, on college campus, and try to, make my way into adulthood with some adult friends or adulting friends who were in the same boat. And I was taking a full-time schedule at University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee is where I was at. And the goal was empty. You can sort of tell I can't even really process what I was doing there other than just repeating what I was going through in high school. I was finding new friends. I was, I guess, getting through schooling and working at the same time. My full-time load kept me there for mostly Monday through Thursday, so my work hours were kind of limited at the time, but I was disciplined. I mean, I already had a life of going to high school and having two jobs at the same time. So having a college load and still working at some point kept me allowed to be living at home for a little bit. And, I had a couple moments of moving out on my own to try and get my feet wet as to how does paying rent and living on my own really work? How do I save my money so I can have food and pay some of whatever bills I have to pay to stay at the place I'm staying? So it was an experiment in adulthood was happening in front of your very eyes. But I wasn't where I needed to be. I was working at Merle Harmon's Fanfare. Sporting goods, memorabilia, clothing, great. Retail. Now, great opportunity for me because at this point, I'm barely not even 18, going on 18, and I was already 2 retail jobs in and 2 restaurant jobs in. The grocery store job I feel like just counts as a grocery store job because it's kind of both retail, food, and customer support. It's all in one. And a lot of physical stuff. So it was utility clerk. So great. All this experience, all of this coming full circle. Working my job. Do you love the tone of the way I say it? My job at Merle Harmon's Fanfare in Mayfair Mall, when an opportunity waved itself in front of my face. Oh my God, was it an opportunity? And I was almost overexcited to even try to get this job because I thought, man, this is already a cool job. This is already a cool opportunity. How much further can I take this? Because I loved working where I used to work. Where did I try to find work? None other than Musicland in the mall. Musicland. If you are familiar with Musicland, you will also know that is part of what is called the Musicland Group. Musicland Group comprised of Suncoast Motion Pictures and Sam Goody. Sam Goody was the big chain. Musicland Group was just kind of the namesake, and they had Musiclands and Sam Goodies in malls across America. Why did I want this job? Well, Merle Harmon's Fanfare was kind of, didn't really care about the sports jerseys, didn't care about the hats as much. And the idea that there might be another record store job available for me was so enticing. Here I am in college. I'm going through college and I have a CD player and I'm already gathering some CDs and I'm starting to collect a few here and there and things are looking cool. And all of a sudden, there's this opportunity knocking for the Musicland 3 doors down, by the way. No music pun intended, 3 doors down from where I was working at Merle Harmon's Fanfare. The opportunity was presented because we were nearing October, and this was the time, especially in the mall and especially in the retail world, where stores were starting to hire Christmas temps. Oh, the Black Friday sales and the explosion of sales during the end of the year. They needed to ramp up that staff so hard. And everybody did it. Even Merle Harmon's Fanfare. But at that point, I just didn't feel like working there anymore. I didn't feel burnt out. I just didn't feel a connection to working to this, this location. Musicland. Oh, I was leaping for joy. I was so excited that there might be a chance for me to merge back into music retail. So exciting. So I did my best. shine. Wrote that, put that application, the best penmanship I possibly could muster. Oh, I hadn't burned a bridge by this point. So anybody's name I put on there as far as, yeah, I worked here, and it'd be great for them to, tell you that I worked here. Dan from Radio Doctors, the other guy, I can't remember his name. Any employee from Radio Doctors could tell you. I had friends that worked at Century with me for a year and a half to 2 years. They could, oh yeah, Bob was great. We hire him. Oh, and I worked in the same mall. There is some sort of weird trust thing that happens when you're working in the same mall and you want to work somewhere else in the mall. They know that you already work there. So they're like, oh, well, he can get to work. He can obviously show up to work and be here, and he knows the culture of this mall. Maybe. Oh, did I hustle? Did I hustle to get that job and get out of where I was at? It was a big chance. It was a big risk. I'm going full-time school in college. I'm only able to get around by bus, and my hours are going to be kind of limited. Kinda. Now, realistically, during holiday break, I could easily open up and have a lot more hours because school's not in session, and I had to wait till, mid to end of January for school to start up. So taking a Christmas temp job didn't seem like a bad idea, especially with music retail. Oh, I get to work the mall retail? Mall music retail? Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready to be that cool record store guy now that I'm getting close to adulthood. Oh, very excited. But I had to keep a logical frame of mind when doing this and applying for this job. This was a Christmas temporary job. I was taking a huge risk because they could have just let me go at the end of December and said, thanks for the 6 weeks we needed you, or the 8 weeks, however long we needed you through November, December. Have a great day. Bye. And then where I was just going to be going to college with no job. And I knew going into this job that I had to save my pennies. So as much excitement I got out of the idea of possibly being able to get a discount on all that cool music I liked, I was in college and I was struggling. I had to save my money. I had to save pennies to get out of where I was living. I mean, not that living at home was a drag, but again, adulthood, growing up, time to fly the nest and be an adult. Ha! So there I was, working Merle Harmon's Fanfare, checking in constantly, making sure I asked the right questions and trying not to be a pest to have them hire me at Musicland. It paid off. I got the job. The manager that hired me and the second in command, she wasn't the second in command, but she was definitely the second interviewee. The manager's name was Nikki. Nikki was maybe she still is. I haven't seen her in 30 years. She was a hair metal chick. She was teased hair, dyed red, rocking the scrunchy leather boots and being the rocker chick. It wasn't put on too hard. I mean, she kind of was more, executive by day or manager by day, but rocker by night. Put on the eyeliner after you get off of work. But she was the, pretty stereotypical 22, 23-year-old hair metal. I love, Guns N' Roses and all that. Every hair metal band. She was into it. She was into the local scene. She dated guys in the local scene of hair metal. It was the era. It was dying, but it was the era. It was 1990, so there was still a pulse happening there. Grunge hadn't taken over completely at all. So I got the job. Oh, I was so excited. The feeling, the rush of being able to tell Merle Harmon's Fanfare to stick it, but the weirdness of having to work for a job that was only 3 doors away. Well, suck it up. I wanted to work for Musicland. Got hired as a Christmas temp, and the carrot at the end of the stick for me was the fact that if employees did a good enough job and there was room on the staff, they were going to keep a few people after the Christmas season because there's always the aftermath. There's always cleanup and returns and all the things that happen after the holidays in retail. But there was also just openings, shiftings. People move, people change, don't want to be there anymore, all that stuff. So I had an incentive. That's what motivated me. The notion that I could get hired on as something permanent was so enticing to me. Oh, did I want to work and work well? I will tell you that for the time and for the day, I feel like working at the mall music store, Musicland, I was way overdressed. I don't understand. I guess I'm just more lax these days. But thinking about people working in record stores, I always thought they were the coolest. They could wear cool rock t-shirts and jeans and be cool and wear Chuck Taylors and just be cool, man, and wear their hair out and whatever the stereotype you could think of or the character type for a record store employee was. I wanted that, but I never got it. Why? Because the Musicland Group and corporate mall America wouldn't allow that. Are you kidding me? No. Oh, no. Why? Because rockers and people who wanted to actually buy cool music didn't go to Musicland or Sam Goody. Teenagers and parents went to Musicland and Sam Goody and Tape World and all those mall stores. All those mall stores for music were designed for convenience. They were not designed to be cool. They were not designed to be hip. They were never meant to be the cool record store. They were there because you were already in the mall. And why leave the mall to go to some indie record store you don't even know where it is? There's a Musicland or a Sam Goody right there. I'll get that cassette for little Billy or little Susie, whatever. Or, oh, the teens are yelling at me because they want to go to the record store. I guess I'll have to give them money because they want the latest Madonna CD. I don't know. Listen, bottom line is it wasn't a cool store in concept. Button-down shirts, dress pants, dress shoes. I mean, stiff, stuffy. Who wears that? And of course, you had to wear an apron. Right, an apron. Yes, you had to wear the Musicland apron with the pockets and, oh, it had the embroidery and everything. The Musicland apron. And I felt bad for Sam Goody because they had to wear green aprons that had Sam Goody on it because it was matching their aesthetic. Musicland Group was very black and gray and red and white. So we wore black aprons with white lettering. Didn't look as weird as those green ones that Sam Goody had to wear. That being said, it was so nice to put on that coat again and get back into music retail. Oh, it felt so good. And it was professional. It was a big store. It moved. There were products moving in and out every day, all the time. It wasn't slow. Yes, there were some slow times. But boy, during the holiday season, it was catch as catch can. Some people didn't last during the Christmas season because they weren't disciplined. This was maybe their first job. It was a Christmas temp job. Of course. I mean, this might be their first opportunity getting their feet wet into retail or music or what have you. I already had it with Radio Doctors when I was 15. So here I am turning 18. And yeah, we're 18 going into 19 and we're going to be like, I'm already working music retail. Awesome. It was great. Plus, because it was Christmas temporary at the time, the hours were flexible. So I had college, they worked around my schedule during that period. And then when it came time to Christmas temp, I was free because, of course, college was out. So I had all the time in the world to be flexible. And real talk, that's a lesson that I learned early on. If you wanted to keep a job and you wanted that job bad enough, you cleared that schedule. Oh, no, you never did these. I need every third Thursday off, and I need to be off by 3 on Fridays because I go out. I need Saturday nights off. Oh, no, you worked all the terrible shifts. You worked the worst shifts because it showed the boss that you were willing to do what it took to work that job. You didn't care. And Nikki, the hair metal boss, she loved the fact that I could work Sunday mornings because she was out on a Saturday night. She didn't have to open the store at 10 o'clock on a Sunday. Oh, yes, please. So flexibility in the hours early on, man, that got me far because the more flexible I found that I was and the more I could switch my hours around and make things work, the better. The more hours I took as well. By the way, people call out. Christmas temps, you've got 15, 20 people extra that you got to hire to work all sorts of crazy shifts and have all the coverage and make sure, all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted in your retail planograms and all that stuff. Oh, yeah. I want all the hours. Oh, hey, Jenny called in today. Can you come in? Absolutely. I'll be right there. Where do you need, get those hours, show the discipline, and do the work. Man, what a time to be alive. Here I am going to college. Here I am working another record store, even though it's Christmas and it's temp. That was the only anxiety I had. Everything else I was cruising with, figuring out the POS register system. Oh, that was a manual nightmare with returns and slips and printouts and technology. Dot matrix. I mean, the screens were this big and it was just, white on black. There was nothing pretty about the registers. They were that dull white, beigey kind of smoker white, I call it, where it looks like it's an old computer, off-white color that's been sitting in a smoking room. It's that weird yellow. I got taught all the corporate lessons of retail in a very short period of time working for the Musicland group. Again, corporate retail, corporate music, corporate. Oh, so many mandates, so many things handed down from the Minneapolis headquarters. By the way, that's where they were headquartered, Minneapolis. Look it up. Oh, dream job in motion. Felt great. We're busy. I'm answering a lot of questions. Mind you, I'm also listening to Milwaukee radio at the time, so I knew the hits. I knew what was being played. I knew hip-hop. I knew hair metal. I knew what was happening on the radio stations. I was a listener, and I was a music fan, so all worked out in my advantage. Plus, I had some history. I mean, my dad taught me all sorts of music, and, I listened to what my parents listened to, so I knew older music, so when parents of my age back then were coming in asking for those things, they were impressed that this 18-year-old knew who Patsy Cline was. What? How do you know that? That was the level. I also want to make sure we're all on the same page in perspective land. There was no internet, no computers, nothing to look things up with. Not even a computer just to look up titles of songs. Not anything to look up anything. You either had to know it, you had to guess, or you used this ginormous flip book encyclopedia thing called Phonologue. And no joke, it was, there's no way to describe it. It looks like one of those giant, huge binder books that, it's like one of those huge books that sits on a pedestal and it's got 5 billion pages and you can look through it. The War and Peace doesn't even cover it. And you could replace the sheets in, because it's a ring binder, so you could replace sheets if they got updated. But that was the encyclopedia of names of songs, artists, and albums. There was no Google. There was no Discogs. There was no Amazon. There was no Instant. Let me look that up. There was no Shazam, by the way. Oh, no. There was no, hey, Siri, who is this? There was none of that. It was name that tune all day long. People were coming in. My favorite thing is when people come in and go, there's this song I've heard on the radio, and it has the word love in it. Okay, you've described like half the songs in the radio. Could you be more specific? I was getting so good at the name that tune. It was just, the employees were sending people to me because I just knew the songs. I was a trivia nut for what was on the charts. I was paying attention to Billboard. I was listening to the stuff that wasn't number one. I was listening to what was number 62 because it was bubbling up and it might have become a hit. I mean, Again, I will do like the doctor scrubs, or just rinsing my hands in pop music culture and every other music that I could get my hands on. I learned so much in just a short period of time, 2 months. And the Christmas season had to die. I got along with everybody really quick. There was no problems with anybody. I got along with the permanent staff very famously because, again, showing my skills, showing my discipline, showing up on time, never being late, never calling out, picking up extra shifts. I was, eyes on the prize. I wanted that job to be permanent. Had to have it. Had to have it. And I got it. Oh, yeah, at the end of that Christmas season, yours truly, for obvious reasons, got brought in permanently. Still part-time, not full-time just yet, teetering on full-time. I remember I had to go back to college, so I couldn't just take every hour, but my weekends were wide open. So 16 hours of your 30-hour work week were on the weekends, and you can, of course, pick up a few, night shifts during the week if you could. But it was 4 to 5 hours, 4 to 5 days per week, and again, Saturdays and Sundays, and usually Friday nights. I had Fridays off in college, so getting on a Friday shift was not too hard. It was easy to schedule all my classes like Monday through Thursday, so Friday, Saturday, and Sunday were wide open for me. It was great. Opportunities, opportunity. Now, to be real, I didn't want to just work at Musicland part-time and just kind of get by. I kept looking for more opportunity. I sort of shifted in my head my priorities in college. If we dial back just a year before, I didn't even know what I wanted to do going into college. I wanted to become a pro wrestler. My parents were like, no, go to college, and I didn't want to disappoint my parents. So I did what I was supposed to do. This is what you do, right? You're supposed to go to college. That's what everyone back in the 80s told you to do. Get a job, go to college. I raise kids, have a white picket fence, dog, and a truck. I have no idea. But either way, I did it. And I was stuck. Going to college, it was fine. I did great in English. I did great in art. I barely got through my math efficiency. Like you're supposed to take a test. If you're never going to be a math major, you don't need math for any of your majors. You can take this test for your aptitude of math. And I took it and I passed it by like 2 questions and I fell to my knees because I was like, I never have to take math in school ever again. Oh, it was so great. But after I got through English and art and the other sort of electives that I had to take, I didn't really have it. I was just swimming the ocean in college, going to frat parties. I lived in the fraternity house for a very short period of time. I lived with my high school best friend for a very short period of time just to get my feet wet of living on my own, but didn't have a direction in college. No major chosen, no major even looked at. I can think going back to college and going, I didn't have any idea what I was going to major in. And I was also stuck on that stereotype as well of, don't be a starving artist. Artists don't make money. Starving artists, you're not going to make that's a hobby job. You don't make money doing art. Huh. That's how I was disciplined. I didn't realize. I had no idea. I was taking art classes as I knew I was good at them. I aced high school art classes, and it saved my GPA at the end because I took a lot of art classes. I was real great at being creative and artistic. But the rest of it, I didn't know. And the other thing too is I didn't really seek it. I didn't go to career counseling and, talk to people about what do you want to be when you grow up. I still had this sort of pipe dream of being a pro wrestler, but it was gone. I had no money. I was already in college. I was working this Musicland job. So my brain kind of shifted and went, this Musicland gig's kind of dope. Maybe you should start working that full time. Maybe you should get in there and, try to get as many hours as possible and do this. Well, after about a year and change, I would say a year and a half of not only enjoying my Musicland career up to that point, I was starting to fade out of college. I was still going, but I didn't have any direction. I was kind of taking classes, but I didn't really care. I was definitely failing out slowly. I didn't do it with a thud, but I definitely was on the path of letting go of those classes and not showing up to some of them because I just didn't care. I started to care less, but I had Musicland. Musicland became, without a doubt, one of my favorite jobs ever. Yes, the layers of working at a music store. Yes, the layers of being cool. Yes, the layers of being the mall music guy who has to wear adult clothing at 18 and going on 19 and being cool, right? I'm cool, right? I think my dates are off a little bit because I think I was more like 18 going on 19 versus 17 going on 18, but I was definitely in the 19-year-old ballpark. And, knowing my time frame of working for the Musicland group, yeah, it was somewhere I was just getting out of college, just getting into college, 18, going on 19, making it work, finding my footing working for Musicland. It got so good, so fast, because the reason why this job was so fun is I worked with people I liked. What? That's what? It's one of the few jobs, real talk, ladies and gentlemen, one of the few jobs in my entire career that I truly enjoyed. I want to say everyone on the staff. And I would have hung out and did hang out with everyone on the staff, except for one guy. There's one guy that worked there that was totally in the most high schoolish sit at our table kind of way. He didn't fit sitting at our table. He tried, but it was not a great fit in the people that worked together. He was sort of the odd guy out. Now, mind you, he had seniority. He knew his stuff and he knew how to work, but he also wore way too much cologne. Way too much cologne for an enclosed space like a mall music store. But nobody told him. Listen, nobody told him. Why didn't they? But real talk, I got along with everybody that worked there. We all got along. The job became synergy. It was great to show up to work because you're going to work with your friends. And it wasn't your friends in a way where, hey, now that we're friends, we should get away with stuff and, do stupid shit. It was like, oh no, we're going to take this job and make it enjoyable. We're going to enjoy what we do for a living. We're going to talk about music. We're going to enjoy talking about music to customers. We're going to sell products that we believe in. We're going to do the things that a job should do for you. Make you happy. Make you feel fulfilled. Make you feel like you want to go in every day with a smile. And boy, once I landed that job, once I got in like that, heaven. To this day, I am still friends with an employee that I worked with at Musicland. She was one of the hiring managers, Betty. Betty and I are still friends. Her and her husband are great. We've known each other forever. I've known Betty. I think about this now. I've known Betty for 30 years. 30 years I've known her. And she is one of the rare few employees that I worked with in all of my jobs that I'm still friends with, that I still check in with, that I still can pick up the phone or meet with. And it's like time has not moved forward. We just pick up like we have known each other, like we've lived a long life together. We're old friends. We are still, that's how good this job was, that the people I worked with, I'm still friends with. I'm still acquaintances. I can find all the other people probably that I worked with, and we are all cool. They are cool. I loved who I worked with. Oh, it made that job so great. The job was great as well because I was on the forefront of music. I was on the forefront of working in retail and having the new releases in front of me, having the knowledge of what's coming out. in front of me, paying attention to the Billboard charts on the daily, on the weekly, on all the things, all the music things that I could absorb were there for me. And in a much grander scale, because it was corporate and it wasn't this tiny little indie store called Radio Doctors. It was feeding the music retail machine in the biggest way. There was Tower Records. Oh, sure, there were Tower Records, but there was Musiclands. Mind you, this was also pre-Best Buy and pre all those things, all those other music stores. This was the big one. This was one of the big ones. You went to Musicland. You went to Sam Goody. You knew those names and you bought your music there. And it was great. So many great examples. So many great things that came out of that job. Of course, the obvious. I own and still own in books, those Case Logic books that you take all the cases out and put just the CD in the sleeve in. I have well over, I want to say 700 CDs and books in my closet, all from mostly, I would say most of them from that era, because I bought a whole lot of CDs. But we also got, hey, crap ton of free CDs. The labels constantly sent us promos, constantly sent us CD singles, constantly sent us, here's a new album. It's a cutout. They, take a razor or a jigsaw or some sort of, bandsaw and slice a little bit out of the CD case and give you a free CD. Here's the free CD. We want you to play this in store. Plus, Musicland itself had its own in-store network CDs. So we would get like a double disc every 2 weeks or so where it was like, play the hottest new hits. I think it was actually 3 weeks, but either way, we were always getting the latest sounds, the latest tunes. And it was always like those network CDs that you played in store always had these narrators like, that was the latest from Tom Petty, Free Fallin'. Like, it was just the most generic, like, now listen to the latest from Enya. Like, so corporate, so not even like cool radio, like, hey, all you boppers. It was just very like, wow, that was some rock and roll from Green Day. And now, like, I don't even think I still have it. I wish I still had all of the network CDs that I collected. I had a ton of those. Got rid of them, sold them, burned off the song or three that I liked off of them, put them on a mixtape and moved on because I didn't need the rest of that network CD. But boy, I wish I had those today because the narration was amazing on those. So we got all that, plus all the posters, plus all the flats, plus all the in-store display fun from new releases. Oh, it was a ball. That job, I mean, just never-ending joy. Every Friday morning we had shipments. That was probably the worst part of the job because you couldn't just show up in like your sweats and your t-shirt to take care of the stock. You had to, wear your dress clothes and try not to get dirty carrying boxes off of a truck and putting them onto some sort of, small pallet and getting them upstairs. And mind you, the truck area that these boxes were being dropped off from the Musicland group was in the like underground back alley, which smelled like the worst dumpster juice ever. And it was hot and stinky and just, and you had to be down there in dress clothes to try not to sweat through your shirt, getting these boxes all, brought up. And they're just, boxes filled with CDs and tapes. So it's not like they're light. Ha! Also, Musicland at the time sold VHS tapes. Oh, yeah. We had a wall of the latest movies in VHS. Oh, yes. Are you kidding me? We were the forefront of those Disney clamshells. And of course, Suncoast. I mean, let's not, forget about Suncoast Motion Pictures, but Musicland also had the convenience wall of the latest releases on VHS. Oh, it got good. We also had a lot of garbage, and we had some t-shirts, but we also had posters, the old poster racks that would sit in the back of the store. Just, you would hear clank, 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 clank of somebody like looking through the metal poster bins, that you put the posters in there. We had all sorts of just random stuff, hats and scarves and just, random memorabilia that would pop up that would be kind of vaguely music related or, band related. But for the most part, it was mostly CDs and tapes. We also had the tough job of having to, even though the cassettes came in on the, on the truck in the boxes, they would come loose. So you had to, when you stocked the store, you had to have all those empty security plastic cases to put the cassettes in. And when I first started working there, we had long boxes, the CD cardboard long boxes that were, just extensions and shorter, longer versions of album covers, because that's what they did. They figured out, oh, well, we can just make this still pretty and artistic and have a cool long box. Yeah, I lived that era. Selling those was so much fun. Oh, loved it. Long boxes. And then they moved over. They're like, hey, we're going to stop selling long boxes. While I was working at Musicland, they stopped selling long boxes because everyone in the environment 30 years ago, that's right, 30 years ago, we were paying attention to the environment. It's not a new fad. The new Green Deal is not some newfangled thing. People have been fighting for environmental things for decades. And back then, the big thing was, these CD boxes. I mean, you're just throwing away all this cardboard. It's just such a waste. I mean, they had a point, but it was art. It was art. And I mean, at the end of the day, the long box CD only held the CD at the bottom usually. And of course, people would steal those by slicing open the bottom of the cardboard, letting the CD fall out. And it still looked like a long box. So, not very practical. Looks great. Feels great. Not so good. So during that era of working for Musicland, I saw the transition of long boxes going out and getting just the CDs sent, and you would put them in the plastic security thing with the sensors. And I learned all about sensor technology during that era too. I had no idea how that all worked, and there was metal things and and all new to me. Lessons. As I said earlier, I loved working with my employees. Each employee had a very special place in my heart. So many stories, so many good stories of camaraderie and hilarity. I mean, Betty and I very famously, Betty, two things I can say about Betty. One, she has given me and provided me the best birthday card I've ever received in my entire life. It stems from a story involving the act of album facing. If you're not familiar with what that is, it was an internet sensation many moons ago, and it still is. It still happens. People still do it. But the idea is taking an album that has a giant face on it or some sort of half face and putting it up to your face or somewhere to look like you are completing the picture using the album. So imagine Phil Collins, all those head, boxes or albums of just, his head. You get the point. Betty and I pretty much cried ourselves into oblivion, laughing so hard because we caught on to that notion with the long box CD. Here's a half a piece of art that may have had a half a face or half of something or a part of something. And of course, putting up to your face and creating the illusion. And I mean, we easily could have gotten in trouble if a corporate person was anywhere near the store during this time, because Betty and I cried laughing doing this. And one of the funniest ones that we ever did or laughed about that for some reason just became the best inside joke between the two of us was the CD cover or album cover for David Johansen, his album In Style. I'm not going to explain David Johansen. That's another podcast. Look him up on Google. David Johansen. Look up Buster Poindexter or the New York Dolls. You'll get it. David Johansen had this album cover called In Style where he was wearing a white suit and a white scarf and he had white boots on and he was very disco looking. It had this very Steve Martin Studio 54 vibe. Although the album was the furthest thing from disco, it just had this look and this vibe and I was enamored. I'm like, oh, I really love this album cover. So Betty, of course, couldn't stop making me laugh because David Johansen on the cover of it was making all these poses that were just kicking his foot in the air and being all and just making all these weird rocker faces that one makes when doing a photo shoot. And she couldn't stop making me laugh by making those faces or doing the album cover in front of me. So, of course, for my birthday gift that year, or a birthday card she got me, she handmade a birthday card and took photocopied cutouts of David Johansen and arranged them on the front cover like, he was like, "Hey, Bob, it's your birthday. Time to celebrate in style," because that was the name of the album cover. Anyway, couldn't stop laughing. Her and I got along famously. Nikki was a great boss. Nikki was a fair boss. She was still a boss. You respected that. Other people were brought in. Nikki at some point left, and, she was transitioned out eventually because Dee came in. And Dee was great too. Dee was a great manager. I believe Nikki went on to district managing of some sort. There was, they worked together at the same point too. They had two managers, and then, Nikki set sail and Dee took over. We hired so many great people because all of us had the same voice of like, who would we want to work here? And we had some characters. We had some great people. Willie Weaver. Good old Willie Weaver. Willie was a great guy. Him and I got along about Kiss and made fun of so many Kiss things. And we talked about rock and roll and guitars. He was in, he was in a band. He was in a band called Initial Design. Wow, that's a clunky name for a band name. I actually ended up renaming his band. Long story short, I once saw this in a adult store, and because I was young and fresh and had no idea this thing existed, I had to tell somebody about it. So who better than your friends at work to tell them that you went to Chicago and went to an adult store and saw a Rubber Fist? So he named his band Rubber Fist. Check that off on the life experience. You've helped name a band that doesn't exist anymore, but you named a band. Rubber Fist. So good. Yeah, great times. Willie was a great employee. Everybody was good. You always worry about that danger of working with your friends. Nope. There was only a couple incidences where, one of Betty or Willie had to write me up because, they were my boss. They were my assistants. I was the third key or something. I graduated from part-time to full-time during my college experience and actually, got a key position and became an assistant manager eventually. And it was great. It was a great time. The energy in that place was hot. We were making sales. We had a sister store, a Sam Goody downstairs from us. I mean, realistically, if we left our store and walked to the balcony or the edge of the walkway where the balcony was or the railing was, you could see the Sam Goody. They were designed differently in a way, different color schemes, but they were the same prices, same stickers, same layout, so to speak, just a different color scheme. Same company. I used to love it when customers come in. "Oh, you don't have it here? Oh, well, I'll just go to Sam Goody and get it." Same store. It's fine. Go get. So yeah, no, we'll even call Sam Goody for you. Wow, really? You're gonna call your competitor? Totally. We knew those people. We knew all those employees. We had such a cast of great employees that worked there, and sales went through the roof. We had a guy, one of my favorite guys, this guy named Louie got hired as a Christmas temp. Same thing. I had to hire some of these people, by the way. We'll get to that story in just a second, but this guy named Louie came in as a Christmas temp and stayed on as well because he was a cool cat. Cool cat. Ponytail, New Yorker. He sang blues. He was this, toughened New Yorker. Like you knew Louie. He's Italian, very tough, right? Great guy, though. Told me some of the best stories. Ironically, he was apparently friends when he lived in New York with David Johansen. How full circle story that became. But yeah, no, he told me stories about the New York Dolls and David Johansen and hanging out with him in New York and just being messed up on booze and drugs. And it was a great time. And one of the best stories he ever told me, which I still remember to this day, is how he and David Johansen were in the VIP area at the Palladium in New York. Up in the VIP section, being rock stars. Drunk out of their minds, high on everything, doesn't matter. They were there. Palladium, early 80s. Louis walking through the crowd with a couple drinks, and, back then drinks were, in the 80s, a $10 drink was, whew, but they were expensive because it was New York club scene, club life, expensive drinks. He's walking through the crowd, a VIP section, big chick bumps into him, just big girl, blonde girl, whatever, bang, knocks into him, drops both drinks. He is, of course, a firecracker. Yeah, you gotta pay for those, you guy, right? And she's all, right? She's freaking out because here comes this, angry Italian guy who's like, how dare you drop my drinks? She runs away because, of course, he's pissed and cussing her out. She runs away and comes back, the way he describes it, comes back with Nick Rhodes from Duran Duran in a powder blue suit head to toe with matchy blue eyeshadow and a full face, smoking a little cigarette and just being Nick Rhodes from Duran Duran, I guess. Just this uptight queen is, how dare you? And he runs over and he's, aren't you going to apologize to the lady? And Louis, without missing a beat, shakes his fist at him and goes, Nick, shut the hell up before I wake up tomorrow with lip gloss on my knuckles. All Nick Rhodes does is just turn around and walk away. And next thing you know, Louis and David are on the street because they're not welcome at the Palladium. I mean, working at record stores, hearing those stories and just soaking in the music culture. This is during a time where CD singles were a thing. Cuss singles were a huge thing. I vaguely remember all the printing on the tickets. You have the little stickers that go on all the, CDs and cassettes. And I remember they didn't print it properly, but the CD single for Finally by CeCe Peniston was cut off because it was too small. So it said, Finally, CeCe Penis. Great. That changed the next week in the shipments. There were so many great releases that came out during that time. Pearl Jam's 10, Nirvana's Nevermind, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg's Doggy, all of it. The Ace of Base. Ooh, the Beavis and Butthead soundtrack. Enya, Yanni, during the holiday season. Mannheim Steamroller Christmas one, the gold one and the blue one. All of the early 90s music that you can think of. And we're talking early 90s. Again, this is 90 through 94 that I'm working at Musicland, at the Musicland group, that all this great music. REM's Automatic for the People. And just so many good releases that just blew up. And again, hip hop is blown up. It's rap and hip hop is just developing in front of our eyes, and it's just great. There's so much. Whitney Houston, Boyz II Men, Mariah Carey, all of it. It was also during the time of Wayne's World, so that Queen resurgence was happening. The Bohemian Rhapsody resurgence, and all the Queen albums getting re-released on Hollywood Records with all those remixes. To be in the forefront of picking all of that music up when it was fresh and hot off the presses was just made my heart sing as an employee of Musicland. It was so enthralling to just go into work every day to see what you could listen to and what you could absorb musically, to find I'm flipping through the CDs just to clean them up, and who's this album? What's this about? All these things just made for the best employee experience. I don't even remember having benefits. I don't think I even had benefits. I had some sort of, vacation, I guess. I'm sure I had sick days, but it was not that corporate. They were milking us. It's not the corporate that it was, that it is today, where you start a job with 3 weeks vacation and you have all these perks and they're trying to keep you there. This was like, hey, be lucky you have a job and we're going to pay you. And you're working at a music store. Great. We also worked across the way at the mall from the food court. So that didn't do great for my waistline. Every day that I could afford it, I would just trot along right over to the, trot like a horse. That's right. Trot over to the food court and get some, greasy Chinese or some, steakums and whatever, the steak escape with the fries and Cinnabon and all that. Mall culture was so good during those years. As I said, we were very, very profitable. The store energy was just unbeatable. We worked together. We communicated great. We were fully staffed at all times. We knew the business in and out. There was communication in a way where somebody couldn't, rip us off with like, oh, I talked to the managers. They said I could return this. There was none of that. We all knew. There was a problematic employee. We all knew. If there was somebody trying to scam us, we all knew. I had some of the fondest Christmas time experiences just being on the register for, 8 to 10 hours a day, just cranking out the sales. After Christmas, I remember being stuck on the returns register all day. I mean, it didn't dawn on me until like 4 hours into my shift. I'm like, why am I getting a lot of returns? We are getting hit. And I looked up, there was a sign above me. I didn't even realize that they had put up. It was one of those corporate signs that said returns and exchanges only. Had no idea. One guy came in with an opened up cassette. I don't even remember what the cassette was. It was completely opened. It looked like it had been played. And he had a receipt from Iowa that wasn't his credit card. And he was like, I want the money back. Like, yeah, no, we yelled at him. We did a lot of things. I mean, it was music store culture. There was, the kids that tried to steal the cassettes. There was the band music. Oh, yeah. When the Body Count cassette and CD came out. Oh, were they lining up for that one? They wanted to make sure, oh, do you have that Body Count? Y'all got that Body Count? Nope. We got corporate memos. Pull that thing. It's going to cause way too much problems. We pulled that. We pulled music. We were also part of the Disney VHL clamshell boom. So we had to pre-sell Disney releases that were coming out. And this was during that time where they're, pulling your leg with the whole vault thing. Get it now before it goes into the Disney vault and you'll never see it ever again. Oh, they had you. We had to sell it to the masses too. Our job was not easy answering the phones at Musicland. We had to do a spiel. Thank you for calling Musicland, where you can pre-order your copy of The Little Mermaid for $19.99, coming out this Thursday, July 28th. I mean, that was literally every phone call I had to take. Talk about prepping me for future work. Talk about prepping me for learning how to speak eloquently on a phone. And I had to sell that to people. I mean, they weren't expecting you to sell a pre-order on the phone right then and there. It happened. Like, when it happened, we all looked at each other like, oh my God. However, that was the spiel. Thank you for calling Musicland, where you can pre-order your copy of Disney's Pinocchio, coming out this Friday. Get it now before it's like, and of course, people were like, is this on recording? Are you a person? So good. I gained great successes at Musicland because we had incentives. Oh, we had so many incentives to do better and make more money there for the company. Now, of course, you were rewarded with bigger discounts and free CDs and, things. It wasn't just, hey, do the work and do the job and you're awesome. There was some incentive. But at the end of the day, the incentive for me was to blow everybody out of the water. I had an incentive to betterize myself. Is that a word? Make myself better? Betterize? I betterized myself. I made myself better because I disciplined myself to lose fear when asking customers if they want to buy something. There was no high pressure sales happening at Musicland. We were not trying to push any sort of financial agenda. You did not have spiffs. There was no commission. You got paid hourly. But they, of course, encourage sales. Like, hey, if somebody's buying a CD, see if you can get them to buy two. Hey, if they're buying this, see if they'll buy the greatest hits. Hey, if they're buying that CD single, maybe you can get them to buy the CD. Upsell, like, it was just language. But there was no high pressure. There wasn't any sort of like, you better make your quota. Yeah, we had sales goals, and we definitely wanted to make them. And let me tell you, in our store, we beat them. Oh my God, did we beat them? Woo! Destroyed them. But here's why. Because again, camaraderie. All the employees got along great. All the employees worked well together, so the energy was hot. That energy transferred to Sam Goody downstairs. They loved what we were doing. They became better. They got pointers and tips. They got disciplined. They understood what it took to make your store work. And we did it. I definitely carried the flag in the ways of suggestive selling. We had a new promotion and a new thing to do during that time, which was part of the day, it was part of the era, was to suggestive sell, max sell, double-sided 90-minute blank tapes. I believe they were the Maxell 2Es, if that's a brand. I believe that's what it was. And they were 90 minutes, and they were blank tapes. That was an era of making mixtapes. Oh, man. Did I make the mixtapes. But then selling it to others to make mixtapes became second nature. Everybody and anybody who would walk up to the register with their purchase always got me to say, hey, do you need any 99-cent blank tapes to go with this today? Hey, do you need any blank tapes? Do you need to make any mixtapes for your friends? Got them every time. And the reason why, real talk, for anybody doing suggestive selling, for anybody having to upsell in their life, remove the fear. That's all you got to do. It sounds ethereal, just to remove the fear. Oh, that's easy. Just remove the fear. Wow, you make it sound so easy. But if you can take away your own fear of just asking by answering it yourself, that the worst they can say is no, or no thank you, what do you have to lose, right? They're going to trash your counter and I need to speak to your manager. How dare you offer me other products with my purchase? How dare you? And it's not like you were doing it in a slimy way. You're not trying to sneak one in on them or make them buy something that they don't want or doesn't have quality. I bought a metric ton of blank tapes because they were great to make mixtapes with. When you have a cassette Walkman and you want to listen to the different stuff and you don't have a CD Walkman yet, and you don't want to carry around 50 CDs with you to change those CDs in your CD Walkman every given day or use one of those carrying cases, terrible. No, you make a mixtape. Keep it convenient. You don't have the luxury to carry all those CDs with you. And if maybe someday you have a car and it has a cassette player in it, doesn't have a CD player in it, you ain't that rich. You ain't bougie yet. You're just getting you're getting yourself situated to adulthood. You don't have time for all that. Mixtapes. I sold all of them. I embarrassed people by how many I sold. Other stores were wondering what I was doing. They thought I was doing some trick. They thought I was making it up somehow. But oh no. Hundreds of those things by the week. 99-cent mix. Do you need a 99-cent blank tape? Oh, I'll take a few. $3 add-on, $4 add-on. Everybody, the fever caught on. People in our store, well, I want to sell those blank tapes. How do you do it? And I just told them. And I just showed them. And I just did it. Oh, look, beep, beep, beep. You're scanning all your things. Oh, by the way, do you need 99-cent blank tapes before you go? Do you need... You just make it part of the conversation. That's all you're doing. You're not just being some robot ringing up things. Got to put them with a little charm. Got to talk to them while they're out in the field, right? Oh, what are you buying today? Ooh, you're buying that. I love that album. You get up there. You need blank tapes. Oh, made so much extra money doing that. And I won prizes. I don't even remember what the incentive was. I mean, I couldn't tell you. I know it had to do with like either in-store gift certificates or, just refunneling the money back into the machine. They weren't going to be like, here's cash. They were giving you spiffs. They just let you buy them. And people would ask that too. Oh, you get a commission on it? Nope. Just being friendly and ask. We never got a spiff on it. There were contests. I know there were contests. That's why I did it. I wanted to win. I wanted to win so bad, and I did. Man, that store was hot. That store was rocking. We were hiring people left and right. We did the Christmas temps. By the way, one of my favorite interviews that I had to do during the Christmas season that I will never forget to this day. Because that was part of the discipline. Once you became a manager, an assistant manager, or third key employee, the key holder, you had to do interviews. You had to learn how to do corporate stuff. You had to learn how to make schedules. You had to learn how to, do the normal things. You had to do reports. You had to close the registers. You had to open the registers. You had to do all the things. Check off the, you had to, send in the, the reports that you got for your shipments every week. So yeah, adulting in the music industry. And it was great. The thing that I remember about that interview it was just, rotating through Christmas temp interviews. And one of the corporate driven questions that they put into the asks was, if you noticed or caught on that a manager was stealing from the company, what would you do? And no joke, this dude sat there and pondered it for a good minute. No exaggeration. He was like, like he was racking his brain as to what the answer obviously should have been. And the answer should have been like, I would report them. I don't know, is there a tip line? Right? No. He goes, when he finally came up with an answer, he goes, well, I guess that if I were in on it, I wouldn't say anything. I almost fell out of my chair. I had to act so cool. Like, okay, I'll accept that answer and move on to the next one. Oh, it was ridiculous. I mean, so many good memories working at that store. And realistically, no bad memories. I mean, yeah, we had that level of fear. The district and the corporate people are coming to visit the store, and they're here to find out if it's, clean and, check in on all the things, do all the checklist things and make sure you clean up this and that signage is wrong. And I remember the days of unloading all the signage that we had to get and change over sale prices. I mean, those rolls and rolls of, $12.99, $11.99, $10.99, $16, all the prices that you had to sticker. That was the other funny thing is, so you had Musicland, you had these long boxes with plastic around them so you couldn't steal. And then we had to put stickers all over them to tell you what the prices was. So, I mean, pre-barcode scanning. You could scan a barcode, but it wasn't the barcode. It was a manufactured one from the Musicland group. And then you had to put big yellow sales stickers on them. Boy, did we mess up product. So weird. It was a great time. We worked in this mall. We also had a mall radio station. It wasn't actually a radio station that was a mall radio station. It was just a radio station the studio was just in the mall. It was in the business buildings of the mall. It was Hot 102 WLUM. 102.1 on the dial in Milwaukee, playing all the latest hits. It was the kids station. There was 94 WKTI. That was the listen while you work pop station. But Hot 102 was for the kids. It played all the hottest hits. It dipped into the hip hop. They had the, call in and get the, top 8 at 8 with the cool night DJ. It was very, very hip and young and fresh. Hot 102. And I remember one of the DJs coming down to the music store to talk to us about what's the hottest stuff or where can I get some of the hottest stuff. His name was Kickin' Chris Kerr. Kickin' Chris. Afternoon drive with Kickin' Chris. And he was this, normal looking, blonde, kind of younger-ish guy. He was just this guy. But he was Kickin' Chris and he was cool. And the fact that a DJ visited us at the music store seemed cool. We had other visitors at the store too, like the band Saigon Kick. Love will find a way. Yeah, those guys. They came into our store once. I feel like somewhere in my autographs, I still have a letterhead of the Musicland group signed, like a piece of paper, a pad paper, the Musicland group, signed by Saigon Kick. Of all the things, right? I mean, It was mall culture. It was, the kids in the mall trying to steal things. It was the parents coming in to complain about the kids' music and what they're listening to. It was the parents trying to find the music that they sort of heard on the radio or TV but can't remember. It was the era of Enya and Yanni and chant, the Gregorian chants and Enigma and all those things. Pure Moods. Oh, yeah, all that. It was a huge time for rock and roll to switch from hair metal over into grunge. Oh, yeah. I watched that transition happen. I watched it. We were like living it up, listening to, Winger and Guns N' Roses, and we were listening to Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, and yeah, it was rock and metal. And then all of a sudden, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Screaming Trees, name it, you name it, it was there. All of that grunge just showed up in the alternative scene. That was a great thing too. Living during that time, I had to explain to a friend who really didn't pay attention to music in the 90s. I mean, everybody thinks about the 80s and they immediately cut it off at MTV. They think Madonna, Michael Jackson, the 80s, Cyndi Lauper, all of that. It was just, a colorful time for all of that music. Huey Lewis and the News and Journey. And then you get into late 80s, which is like more like one half adult contemporary and one half hair metal. So you've got like Richard Marx competing with, Warrant. I mean, it's really how it worked back in the late 80s. It was a great time to be alive. But I was also working at Musicland during a very important time in music when SoundScan became a thing. Up until that point, you just had record stores and radio stations reporting the hits. They sort of Caucasianally reported what was actually selling. Like, oh yeah, this sells, and whatever they can remember or whatever they can sort of compile from their sales based on whatever they can sort of muster, that was what were the hits. That was it. If you look at the charts post 1990 or pre-1990, 1991, very Caucasian, very, very mainstream, very, very corporate. Until SoundScan showed up. And what SoundScan did was get an accurate count of what was actually selling. You're telling us that these things are selling, but this is what's actually selling. So you saw R&B, hip hop, rap, all hit the charts. All of it. Boyz II Men, Belle Biv DeVoe, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey. Boy, I said all those before, but I mean, it bears repeating. I mean, Mariah Carey and Boyz II Men had the number one hit for like 16 weeks with One Sweet Day. That was unheard of at that time. But when you have accurate sales and you have cassette singles and you have CD singles and you have that radio song playing on repeat forever, yeah, it's going to be the number one song. I mean, Whitney Houston, the Bodyguard soundtrack, good God, Garth Brooks, Shania Twain, all of that happening in the early 90s. The country explosion happened because Billy Ray Cyrus, all of it, because people were, wow, this is actually selling. Garth Brooks has sold 10 million albums 3 times in a row. What? Nobody was prepared for any of that because up until that point, it was just flooded with a lot of white pop and rock. And occasionally you'd have a black artist get in there. Like, again, Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson always dominated. Janet Jackson. The Jacksons were a safe bet because they were safe and they were corporate and they were America. Right? None of that hip hop. Rap. Watching that culture war happen in front of your eyes in the early 90s was a sight to behold. Because we were listening to rap in the 80s in high school. I mean, we had Ice-T, we had all that stuff. We had Ghetto Boys, and I mean, we knew in high school what rap was, and we dug it. We liked it. There were certain things we thought were pornographic. There's Two Live Crew, all of that just set the stage for the great music era where alternative showed up. Bands like Live and Collective Soul and, all these alt bands that weren't pure grunge showed up on the landscape. So I could just name endless bands and name endless songs and name all that era. But if you look at that era between 1990 and 1994, safely was just an amazing time for music. And it was an amazing time for music for me because obviously I was into it. I was doing it. It was great. Musicland continued to be so amazing. I had opportunities to do things I had never thought I'd be able to do. I got to go to a meet and greet for Kiss for a VHS release for Kiss Confidential down in Chicago. I got some free pass through the record label and all that stuff. I mean, EMI was sending us stuff left and right. Mercury Records, all these places, constantly on the phone with them. Hey, what are the latest releases? They'd call us. What do you guys need? They were giving away CDs. It was just this synergy of music that I just couldn't get enough of. And by that time, by the way, we got free CDs, tons of free CDs, all those giveaways, all those things that the record stores or the record labels sent us. We got to take them home. I think at one point in my life, safely, I easily had over 1,200 CDs. I want to say it was between 1,300 and 1,500 CDs. I even started buying vinyl because it was just post vinyl CDs were happening. I mean, it was the CD era. We were living in CD cassette land, but vinyl was like this cool thing that I wasn't even trying to be a hipster. I was just like, albums still exist and I still kind of like them. So I'm going to go seek some rare Queen albums and try to collect them all and do all this, get the Kiss solo albums and just buy vinyl because I had a job at Musicland and it was paying quite well. I don't even remember how much I was making. I'm pretty sure it was over $5 an hour. I'm fairly certain it was like $5 or $5.50 because I was a manager. Ooh, and I mean, it could even be. I'd have to go back and look at one of those timetables of like what was minimum wage and what were people safely paying. I might have been making $7 an hour. I don't remember. It was plenty enough for me to get by on, plenty enough for me to save money with, plenty of money for me to go to college with and waste my time in college. You know, you do those things. I didn't have a credit card yet, so it was just everything was pure cash. And it was great. I enjoyed having the discounts. I enjoyed having the year-end discounts. There were 2 days during the holiday season. They would give you like extra 40% off your CDs or 45% off your cassettes, 50% off your storage cases. Oh my God, I used to go nuts over the Case Logic wooden CD holders. I had at least 7 or 8 of them to hold all my CDs, and they only held like 96 each. So I had to just keep buying, and there were stacks on stacks of those just sitting in my room against the wall. My parents took advantage of it too. My dad was a mixtape maker. My dad was a music collector. So of course, getting that discount, man, did we cash in those days. Whew, so good. The Musicland experience was a non-stop parade of fun, and it got better and better as the days and weeks went on. I was with that company, and I was at the Mayfair Mall store for, I want to say, 2.5 to 3 years. And that is when it all turned into garbage. That is when it started to go south. Oh, living a charmed life, working at Musicland at Mayfair Mall for a good 2.5 to 3 years. The best times of my employment life were all about to start crumbling as the years went on. That is what we are going to talk about in part 2. You think I was going to give you it all? I mean, we're already clocking in well over an hour on this. Mother needs a break, but you need a break. And we're going to break back in this coming Friday with how one of the best jobs I ever had in my entire life went to pot and just got worse as the weeks went on. And it saddens me that it happened, but it was a cultural change. It was a cultural shift. It was a whole lot of factors that made working for a mall Musicland store or a music store in general be a really bad thing. But of course, you know me, I got through it, and we're going to talk all about that on Friday. Oh, this was a good episode. There's a lot to talk about when you're excited, and there's a lot of passion. We had such good times at Musicland, you and I. Star-crossed lovers. Oh, such a good job. I could go on for hours, but I won't. Darlings, it has been a pleasure talking to you here on a Monday about Musicland. Thank you for listening. Please, 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 please tune in on Friday to hear the second half on how the best job in the entire universe for an under 21-year-old kid working in the music retail business, how it all went south so painfully. Tune in this Friday. Please, please, please subscribe wherever you can. Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Please leave a review if you're on Apple Podcasts. If you're on Spotify, leave a review. 5 stars. Here, I'll write one for you. Halston Body is amazing and his makeup is flawless. I don't remember what he talked about, but I couldn't stop looking at him. There, that's a good one. You can use that one. It's for free. I am Halston Body. As I've said before, the Prism of Excellence. You can catch me on Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. Available on the Fight TV app. Available on your local stations. Look it up. Look on the website, championshipwrestlingfromhollywood.com. Look it up on the United Wrestling Network. Pay attention. I'm managing a whole bunch of people right now. Mike Camden, Vinny Wasco, Alonzo Alvarez, and of course, the Queen. Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, Heather Monroe, the Killer Bay. Please look me up. Also, subscribe here on YouTube if you're watching. If you haven't subscribed already, please leave a comment. Please tell me about your experiences in the job industry up until this point. I am curious, as I always am. Thank you again for listening. I appreciate it. This has been New Job. Who dis?